Hi, I'm Isaac, and I'm a sci freak.
And I'm Claire, and I'm a high capacity H2O tank.
And this is Make
Make
That
that
Game
game where we pitch the latest
Greatest
new video game ideas.
that aren't in the process, nor will likely ever be in the process of being made.
All right. So, Isaac, what kind of games have you been playing this week?
I have been playing Garden Story, which is pretty old, well, not pretty old, maybe a year. Hold on, let me look this up.
Pretty old, a year?
Yeah,
Pretty old? Are you kidding
so
me?
I think it came out around the same time that you were finishing up Turnip Boy. I'm playing it on the Switch. It's by Picogram, and it did come out in 2021, so it is about a year old
I'm calling that new.
at this point. So it's a new, I guess, game. The gaming world is extremely fast paced. A year old might as well be dead.
Right, but then you also play games from like the year 2000 still. So
I played games from the year like 1980.
1890? You played games from the year
1890. Yeah. So
I
anyways,
do have a book of games from the 1800s, like board games. So
oh geez, we
Yeah.
gotta do a special episode for that. But yeah, so Garden Story is a cute little game where you play as a grape, and you are the guardian of a town of like little vegetables and mushrooms, and then there's also a frog town, and you have to stop the rot. And it actually has a pretty dark story going on where like it's basically the world is ending, it seems like slowly, and a lot of people have just kind of accepted it. It seems
it seems
it's
very similar to Turnip Boy.
yeah, so it's got like this sense of like decay and rot, but I hope that one day I'm able to stop it. But yeah, besides that, I revisited a game that also is maybe a year old, maybe a little older than that, called Biomutant by Experiment 101, and I'll go more into that with Honks and Bonks. Last
Okay.
time I played it was a year ago, and I decided to give it another try because they've had a couple patches, and yeah, I'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess, I mean, I also know that you've been playing Elden Ring still. Like that's
well,
happening.
yes, but I figure if I don't talk about it, the listeners might think that I've actually stopped and think better of me for it. But
No, I
cat's
won't let
out of the
them.
bag. Elden
No, you
Ring's
played
out of
Elden
the
Ring
bag.
most of yesterday, so I really can't ignore
Yeah.
it. You also
All
tried
right.
Subnautica.
I did try Subnautica. I gave it a try after you honked and bonked it last week. I played it for a little bit, and I have not revisited it except for that like little 30-minute excursion. But
Yeah.
I played it with food and water on,
Yeah.
and food and water does not seem fun.
Yeah, so to refresh listeners, or if you hadn't listened to last episode, I honked and bonked Subnautica Below Zero, and I'm playing on what they call freedom. So basically, you need to pay attention to temperature, health, and oxygen, but nothing else. And then Isaac is playing on survival, which is you have to pay attention to temperature, health, oxygen, and food intake and water.
Yeah. Yeah, I could talk a lot about it, but
Yeah.
I will not.
We won't, but just, yeah, it seems very annoying. All right.
How about you? What have you been playing in the
Yeah, so
last week?
basically just Subnautica Below Zero.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty into
A
it.
new obsession.
I don't know about an obsession.
This is your Elden Ring.
No, I wouldn't call it that because I think I do get has the same kind of exhaustion level that I feel with Animal Crossing, where you're just like, oh my gosh, there's just so many tasks, and I just because there is a lot of collecting materials for crafting. Like that's a huge part of the game, and it gets a little bit much. Isaac did surprise me with Lila's Sky Arc, but I missed the surprise because I forgot to check my Discord notifications. So I have not played Lila's Sky Arc yet, but I am very excited to try. So hopefully I'll have some updates about that next week. So you mentioned, Isaac, you're gonna honk and bonk something for us. Give me those honks and bonks. And as a refresher, A honk is a thing we really like about the game or game design, and a bonk is something we think could probably be improved upon in the game or game design.
All right, yeah. So I've got Biomutant by Experiment 101 this week, and it is a fun little kung fu action game with RPG elements. So, you gain skill points and you allocate them and you level up and, you get different abilities. I am playing as a class called the Psy-Freak, which is based around using psychic powers. One thing I should note, this game is set in a post-apocalyptic future where a toxic company has kind of destroyed the earth, and now little tiny gerbils and stuff rule the earth, and they all have some form of mutation. So I guess psychic powers are one of the mutations that have been caused by this humanity ending toxic apocalypse. So Toxapocalypse, exactly. So I can throw little shock balls, I can run forward, and I can run forward and leaving fire behind me, and those are two distinct psychic powers for some reason. They're not like an upgrade off of one. It's not like you upgrade the run forward ability to then also do flame. For some reason, it's two different things. That is neither a honk nor a bonk. That's just a weird thing that I noticed. Anyways, let's get into the honks. The character model, so you're a cute little rat gerbil thing. Your model changes with your stats. Mm-hmm. So as you put points into intelligence, your head gets bigger, eluding like your big, smart, knowledgeable guy. As your charisma goes higher, you get the cute eyes, like the big, cute animal eyes. As you get stronger, your muscles fill out and stuff.
This sounds silly and adorable, and honestly, by the title, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, it is pretty silly and adorable, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but the dialogue and a lot of the words are gibberish, silly, adorable gibberish. When you talk to a character, they'll be it's basically Simlish. They're like Shiggy Muggo, Mip Wop Whoop, and yeah, and the weapon names, instead of being gun or fist, it's called Iron Arm Clonker. Or Fizzle Whiff Bat. One of the weapons that you start with is a literal toilet scrubber, and you use that to fight enemies. But yeah, so yeah, it's a pretty fun, cute game, and I think that the touch of the character model reflecting your stats, pretty good thing. It gives you immediate feedback to what kind of character you're building, and yeah, it's not something that you see very often. You see that you can customize a character at the beginning, but generally stat choices don't mean anything. So you could have a 99 strength character, but they're a wiry little little guy that looks more agile than anything. But nope, no agility, just strong. Second honk is it does this very interesting thing where you play your backstory. So it as a kung fu game, it has the kung fu trope of you have a tragic backstory, and you actually play through that. And when you play through that, you get to make choices, which I think is very interesting because it lets you develop this kind of narrative arc that you normally wouldn't be able to get through a gameplay. So
now, can you define what makes it different? What makes it a backstory? Because if you start there, I would just think that's the beginning, right?
Well, no. So you'll go to a burned out village, and then you'll enter a memory of when you were raised at the village, and you escaping from that village, your family leaving you behind. And you can make choices there. You can choose how you escape, or whether you try to fight the people that are burning the village or whatnot. Or another flashback is before the village was ever burned. You're just remembering playing with butterflies and stuff. And this is a random example. I don't think this was actually from the game, because at this point it's a year ago that I played this specific part. But it's you catch a butterfly. Do you crush it? Do you release it? Mm-hmm. And what's very interesting about this compared to other games is you actually you can develop this very interesting narrative arc for your character where it's like, oh, maybe before the incident where your village was burned down and your parents were killed, you were a sweet, loving little creature. And then after years of fighting in the harsh badlands of this post-apocalypse, now you're like, now in the modern day, you're making all these like evil choices. Like you're more morally gray or whatever. But as a youth, you were a sweet little innocent baby. And I think that like enforced through actual gameplay instead of just being like slider ticks that you pick when you're creating your character.
Yeah.
Is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And the last thing is each area, the last honk is each area has a checklist of what you can find in it. So when you enter an area,
like this.
Yeah, if you find like a fast food joint, it'll be like 2 super loots and a bio point or whatever. So you don't leave that area until you've checked off all the marks or you find something that's stopping you from getting all the checks. So
yeah, that was my bonk for Subnautica, was that does not exist.
yeah, you can't miss things like when you go into an area. It'll tell you, well, so it won't tell you like all the minor things. So like there will be a bunch of like little boxes with like health packs and stuff that you can miss. But if there's something like pretty important, it lets you know that that's going to be there. So you just scrounge around. And like I was in one, it was like literally a fast food place. On the bottom floor there was a big glowy chest and I got an item, and then it said there was one more left, and I ended up going outside and like finding a way to jump onto the roof, and that's where the second one was. So I was like, oh cool, I would have totally missed that without this little checkbox. Now onto the bonks. Despite being a kung fu action game, the combat, just like Kingdom Hearts 3, feels super messy, super sloppy. It's hard for me to follow what's happening, and the enemy HP bars just feel huge, even though I'm like the right level. And I don't know if I have a bad build or I'm using the wrong weapons or something, but like basic enemies just feel like they take forever to kung fu to death. There's a whole bunch of random slowdowns that happen, or I don't think they're slow, they're random. I think it's like if I'm dodging, it does like a cool Matrix style dodge
like slow
scene.
motion.
Yeah, like slow motion. And then when I defeat the final enemy of a group, it's a very extended, like slow motion, watching them ragdoll away.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just, I just find myself basically button mashing, even though they've got like this kind of cool combo system where it's like press X twice and then Y to do your super move. I'm either just spamming that or I'm just like using X, just doing a basic punch attack until everything dies. Because otherwise it feels like I'm getting swarmed by like 6 enemies and they're like hitting me out of my combos and stuff. But yeah. Second bonk is the dialogue is both spoken in gibberish and narrated. A year ago when it first came out, they would say the full line of gibberish dialogue and then the narrator would translate it for you.
Oh my gosh. No.
It was horrible. And I found myself trying to skip the gibberish lines because, you know, it has, I guess, honk. You can skip the gibberish lines or you can skip any line. Like most games have like the skip this line or speed through this line thing. But sometimes I would accidentally, like, it would be like a short line of gibberish. And by the time I went to skip it, it would already be starting the narrator's line. So I would actually skip the narrator's line. So I would completely miss what that line of dialogue was. They patched it since then so that the narrator starts while they're reciting the gibberish. So now it's like kind of overlapping a little bit.
That still doesn't sound like great to me.
Honestly, it isn't, and I commend them for the spirit of what they're going for. But no, I don't think it works out entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Next bonk is it's super grindy. I found, so the basic goal is that there's these 4 apocalypse monsters that are going to end the world again, and you have to defeat them. Or I believe that there's an option where you can join them.
Okay.
I forget, but I think that they have implied that I could either like help end the world or I could save the world, which is another cool character choice. But yeah, so I have a mech suit that I need to fight the first one. Well, not the first one, because you can choose which order you fight them in. But anyways, mech suit. I have to upgrade my mech suit because at a basic level, it's apparently not enough to defeat the monster. At least the NPCs say that. So I have to find boxes which have upgrades for the mech suit. There are 14 boxes total, and I have found 6 of them. Oh, and it's like 15, 20 minute, maybe you could shorten it down to like 10 or 15, like between each box, between like walking to the next location and then fighting whatever monsters are there and then exploring the location to actually find the box. So it's like, in order to fight this one monster, it's going to take forever. And it's not a dungeon. So like Link's Awakening, like Zelda games have this kind of thing where, oh, you know where the boss is, you get there, but there's a dungeon you got to go through. It's puzzles to solve. I think that this find 14 boxes thing is their version of like that. But I don't think it works out. I think having me find 14 different boxes spread out around the zone that the final boss is at is a little too much. And maybe I don't need to find all 14. Maybe I'm supposed to like just use the upgrades that I find, and like if I lose the fight, I can go find more. But my collector brain is like, I must find all 14 boxes before moving on. And then my final bonk is a UX thing. So there's a quick key you can press to instantly open up your map. That's good. When you like back out of that, it first backs you out to the menu and then you back out to the game itself. Instead of just like quick key to the map and then back out, it quick keys you back into the game. No, it opens up the map via the menu, and then you have to back out of both. And that's just an annoying thing, especially when you check maps a lot like I do to make sure I'm orienting in the right way and like just checking out my surroundings. It's very annoying to just have to back out twice. Yeah. Less annoying than if I had to open up the menu to go to the map each time, but still pretty annoying.
No, I would not like that either.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Biomutant by Experiment 101. It got a lot of flack when it first came out. I think that the patches have helped it a little bit. The combat, despite being the main focus, feels a little sloppy, but I would still say that this is kind of an interesting, worth a play thing. I would probably buy it on sale. Steam has sales all the time. If it's ever part of it, check it out. I'm not 100% certain that I would play it at full price again. But yeah, that's that. How about you? Do you have any honks or bonks for a game that you'd like to share with me?
I do. And I was just trying to figure out. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna honk and bonk game that I have been playing for like 2 years now. Didn't really think about, because I feel like there is this idea that like mobile games on your phone are like less than other games, I think. But they're not. They're still games. So I'm going to talk about a mobile game called Matchington Mansion. Mansion? Yes. Matchington Mansion.
Correct. Yes. Matchington Mansion.
Matchington Mansion is by Firecraft Studios. And just so y'all know, and it is a match 3 game. So like pretty simple, but it also has a lot of components to it that are fun. So I'll just jump right in to my honks. So the first honk is that it does actually have a bizarre continuing story, and like that part is fun. So most match 3 games, like, or I guess I've seen match 3 games, and just to describe, because I told someone about a match 3 game and they did not know what I was talking about until I said, oh, like Candy Crush. And they're like, okay. So basically you usually have to match 3 or more of a thing by swiping or switching objects around. So like 3 colors together, and then those get deleted, and you get points.
Yeah, they like remove themselves from the universe.
It is hard to describe this if someone literally had no idea, but I think most people have seen games like Candy Crush, to understand. That's like the gameplay of the game. So,
Bejeweled, I think, is another
oh, yep,
one.
yep.
Pokemon
Um,
Puzzle League Challenge.
there's definitely one in Neopets has one for sure. I forget what it's called, but I remember they had one.
Oh yeah, I also forget the name. That's decades of knowledge.
Yeah. But anyway, so the gameplay is that, but when you play, you're earning points towards buying furniture for this mansion. So the backstory is that you, the player, have inherited this mansion from an author who has recently died because you inspired her first big mystery novel. But you didn't know that you inspire, you knew this person, but you didn't know that you inspired the first big novel. And so you've hired an interior designer whose name is Tiffany, and Tiffany is helping you design this mansion. And you meet all of the wonderful, fun, quirky characters of the neighborhood as they come help you design your mansion and like add rooms and things like that. So you're earning points to like move the story along basically, and you can pick out furniture and blah blah blah. So that's part of why I wanted to play because I like that. I will say that this one got me in one of those like trick ads. Like, so I was like scrolling through Instagram and it like the gameplay looked completely unrelated to what I ended up downloading, but I actually ended up liking this. So I was like, all right, I'll stick with it. So anyway, so I really like that there's like this weird continuing story. It's not super in depth, but I do like it. They also have character cards basically that you can look at so you can like review the story you've learned so far, which I think is nice. So yeah, so that's nice. I also like that how low stakes it is. So the reason I downloaded it or started playing it in 2020 was because like 2020 was rough, we all know. And in the beginnings of all the pandemic stuff, it was really tough to like find something that wasn't like steeped in pandemic news, I guess. One of the things I did back then, this was before I had TikTok, I think. I would just watch, I really liked watching Instagram stories or like being on Instagram. And they just
Instagram stories existed before. I thought they were this is unrelated to video games in any way, but I thought that they were a response to TikTok.
Oh no, Instagram Reels were a response to TikTok. Instagram stories were a response to Snapchat stories, which Snapchat stories have been around forever.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
Well,
not
hey, the
forever,
more
but
you
for a
know.
long time. Yeah.
This is now a social media podcast. We talk about social media, folks.
Yeah. So anyway, so I like that, but like every story was someone talking about pandemic stuff, and I was like, this is just too stressful. I hate this. And I didn't really know what to like. And you and I remember, because I remember having this conversation with you that like when you watch TV shows where people were like hugging each other, it was like, no, stop. So it just felt like there was nothing I could do to relax that didn't remind me of the situation we were in. And so this is completely void of any reality. Like it is just match three, hang out, do your thing. So I feel like this was like crucial to my mental health in like April of 2020 was Matchington Mansion. Anyway, so so it is. It's relaxing, it's low stakes, it's really fun. There's a great article, maybe I'll link it. I just found it just now that talks kind of about why it's so good for a match 3 and this is my next honk. So that like the challenges are balanced really nicely. So like the amount of like bombs that you get versus like things you have to match yourself, like how hard there's 3 levels that are random. So like as you keep playing, you might get an easy challenge, a hard challenge, or a super hard challenge. You don't get introduced to super hard challenges until much later in the game. But like, so it's like I feel like an easy challenge I can beat in one go at this point because I've gotten very good at it. But a super hard challenge could take me like 5 or 6 tries. And I think that's good. I think that's a good gameplay. It makes it fun. I get to strategize a little. So there's both randomization and strategy part of it. So yeah, it's not just completely mindless, but it's not like too difficult that I want to put it away. So the way it's created a match 3, which is a pretty simple concept, I think is pretty nice. They also this is a honk and maybe a bonk, so it's a good transition one. Is they keep adding more things like
just constantly.
Yeah, so like for like there's candles that if you light the candelabra, then it will take away 3 of the things you need to do, and there's like rocks that you need to break up, and there's statues that you also need to break up, and there's baskets that can give you more of a different color, and that you like just constant gimmicks continue to be added, which are both fun and annoying. So I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Do they stack up the gimmicks, or
Yeah,
or do they kind of go through a cycle? Like you're gonna be facing 3 different kind of gimmicks for a while, and then they drop like the oldest one, and
so
then
I think So they definitely don't drop them because I'll see like ones from the first like few rounds still.
Okay.
But they do usually stack. So I would say like you could see like 3 at a time usually.
Oh boy.
At most, not always. It won't not every level will have 3, but I feel but they're always like they see like once they add a new one, it's like, well, you could just see that now. You might see it. You just might. But there's no like rhyme or reason, I think, to how they add or subtract in game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so to the bonks. Again, there are some bonks. The first bonk is this is designed as a mobile game, so it makes you like they want you to pay money, and I have paid some money into it because I was like, what else?
You gave in.
I was like, what else brings me joy?
It's fine as long as you're not doing the gotcha game. I spent $16,000 and hid it from my wife. How do I save this marriage thing?
No, if any, no. It's usually if I get really stuck and I have like a long period of time when I know I'm going to keep playing, then I might throw a couple dollars their way. But also I'm like, well, this game rocks. So
It brings you joy.
I don't mind giving them money, right? Because they developed it. It's a good game.
Yeah.
So, but because of that, it is like you have 5 lives basically, and if you run out, so if you lose 5 times in a row, you have to wait 15 minutes for the next life to regenerate. So each life takes 1 minute, 15 minutes to regenerate. So you know that, and then there's coins that you can use to purchase things. You don't really need to use the coins, but they're really helpful. So if you need to beat a level, and you need like 2 more turns and you know you could do it, that costs 500 coins. You can earn coins by beating levels, but you don't earn them obviously super quickly. So like that also is like a motivation to buy things, to transfer them to coins. And then so there's just that element of it that's kind of annoying where you're like, ugh, you should have just like, could you just charge me like $20 for the whole game and then I'll just play it? But anyway.
I mean, it would be cool to have that kind of option, but I feel like universally every game of this type would probably lose money from every customer if they did that.
And also I guess there is the benefit of like, hopefully, so this actually is the next bonk, is I'm worried I'm going to be finished. I mean, I guess I've been playing it for 2 years, so that's, you know, it's lasted, but like this feels like the type of game that should never end. Like it should be infinite, but there's only like 4 more rooms in the mansion. So I don't know what happens when I finish the mansion.
So, I mean, to reference another podcast, this feels a lot like Best Fiends.
Yeah,
where
but
Ross is up like some thousands of levels of some kind.
Right.
Don't they constantly also add new levels? Like, don't they do monthly or weekly or whatever updates for like here's...
I mean, so they do update it, but usually it's more about decor. Like, oh, you get a new like Christmas set, or like, oh, here's a new like. So there's side quests of like decorate this coffee shop, which I'm terrible at because they only last like a week. And I feel like the way I play this game, it's like I'll play for like 2 hours on one day, and then I'll forget about it for like 3 weeks, and then because yeah, I've just stopped playing it as much as I was before. And then the challenge is over. So I was like, oops. Oh well, it's that sorry coffee shop. But no, so like those things change all the time, but the rooms of the mansion have not changed since I downloaded the game. Like the amount of rooms that exist in the mansion has not changed. So I don't know what happens. I mean, I'm assuming either they'll have like, oh, we're going to add an addition, or they'll just be like, well, keep playing and you can just continue to like change out the existing furniture and like play the challenges and things like that. So I don't know. But I do worry. That just makes me stressed a little. Like, I'm like, well, I don't want to finish the mansion. Are you kidding? Like, that's not the point. The point is to play forever. And then the other bonk is it does feel like it might be getting a little too easy. Like, I do remember struggling a lot more in the beginning again. And like, I do think they're balanced, but sometimes it just does feel like I can just like crush these levels. Like, I've rarely had to pay for anything in the past, which is good, I guess, for the wallet. But it's like, that means I'm just like killing it.
So it seems like I've brought it up on the podcast a few times. We've got that graph, that chart of player skill and difficulty rising over time. It seems like it might have hit a plateau a little bit. And
yeah, because that's another thing.
Got a little above it.
Yeah, because like when you beat a level, you get a star, and stars are how you progress the story forward, like I said. And so I think that's one of the reasons I'm worried about finishing is because I can beat levels so quickly that like, 20 minutes of gameplay, I have like 5 to 6 stars, and that can get you like half a room depending on the size of the room done. It's like, that's pretty quick. Whereas before I remember being like, oh man, I just need one more star to like feed this dog. Like, why is the dog 3 stars? And now I like never worry about having enough stars. So I feel like there is, as much as the gameplay is pretty balanced, I do feel like I'm hitting a point where it's like I can just crush it every time.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, but anyway, I think it's a really chill game. I actually did stream this once on Twitch. That was the
Your
only
first
time.
and only stream.
My first and only stream. Hopefully I'll stream again in the future, but it was really fun to stream this chill mobile game, and I just talked kind of about strategy. It was around Christmas time, so I had some lo-fi Christmas tunes bopping in the back, and it was a good time. So, yep. So I would say, if you want a quick mobile game, Matchington Mansion is where it's at. Well, now that we've talked about games we've been playing, how about Isaac? What could you think up for like a new game that may or may not exist yet or ever? Do you have an idea for something like that?
I do. And it is called, I'm going to start off with a name, as we often do. I'm going to start off with a name to really tempt people, to really draw them in to this segment. Wolfpack 19XX.
Ooh.
It is. And okay, this is about wolves. And you have no idea when writing up the notes how many times I spelled wolf with an E on the end.
Yeah, because of our cat Wolf.
So yes, that was
the
fun.
Second you said it, I was like, it's probably about our cat Wolf.
It's actually not about our cat Wolf, but all right. So Wolfpack 19XX is you are a cyber wolf protecting their pack in the post-apocalyptic streets of a decaying city. Your goal is ultimately to defeat the Zookeeper, a maniacal mutated superhuman who wants to reclaim the city by annihilating animal life or keeping them in a zoo. I realized after I wrote that if the name is the Zookeeper, they would probably have some kind of zoo theme. And so I added a slash and for some reason did not delete the annihilating human life. But anyways, yeah, so the mechanics are it's basically going to be a turn-based RPG. Well, not really turn-based. The I guess term is active time battle. So each character is going to have a bar that constantly fills up in real time, and when their bar fills, then they can act, as opposed to
I wish listeners could have seen my face I made when you said, well, it's not really this, it's active time battle. Like, I just was like, I've lost the plot.
Well, that's why I'm describing what that means.
I know. I just wish that this would be a good chance to have video on.
Yeah. So yeah, there will be a bar for each character that will fill up, and once the bar fills up, that is when they can act, rather than, beginning of the turn, it asks for all of your input, and then it decides based on the speed of the characters, like the speed stat, which order that they actually execute in. This is going to be more real time, like ish, but not fully real time. So your pack acts as your party, but you only choose certain members of your pack to like go out and hunt with. You expand your pack with kind of like a breeding mechanic mini game where different wolves will have like different skills, different stats, different genetic mods. And then if you take Wolf X and Wolf Y, they can produce an offspring which has a random grouping of the parents, various inheritables.
It's a little creepy, but okay. I can get behind it,
so I'm mostly thinking of like monster taming games like Pokemon and stuff. And I did feel a little weird.
Is there breeding in Pokemon?
There is.
What?
Yes.
Ew. What?
Yeah. There's breeding in Pokemon. I'm actually more thinking, and this is why I was trying to think of a way of like making it less like breeding, but there's a Pokemon-like series called Monster or Dragon Warrior Monsters, where you have two monsters go into a cave and then both the monsters leave and leave an egg behind. But I'm not sure how to make that work with wolves, especially with a pack, like losing the parents.
Yeah. So I just can I take us on a sidebar real quick?
Yes.
Because I was reminded that I wanted to bring this up on the pod. This is a conversation we've had, I think, this past week, where because you said Pokemon like. Like. And it reminded
Yes.
me that we've been talking slightly a couple episodes now about rogue like games and also rogue light Lite game, right?
Yeah.
Or Light. Lite.
No, Lite. Yeah.
Yeah, like
One
light
letter
lemonade.
of difference.
Yeah, and I didn't know those were two different things. I just thought I would bring that up, that now I've been schooled. I know the difference between a like game and a light game, and that they are, because sometimes I thought Isaac was saying like, and sometimes I thought he was saying light, which was true, but I just thought it must be one answer and not both. So
nope. And let me tell you what, in the communities, there's a lot of debate about the use of those different terms relating to respective games. And I will educate you on that debate off podcast, or maybe maybe special episode. We love special episodes.
Bonus episode, Claire learns or doesn't learn.
Are we writing these special episode ideas down anywhere?
I should be.
Yeah. So anyways, sorry. The sidebar
right, let's
over.
Go back.
I'm
let's
canceling the sidebar. All right. So yeah, I don't want to call it breeding mechanics, but that is gameplay wise what they're going to be. Like the general genre convention term would be breeding mechanic, no matter how it's fluffed as actual lore. So yeah, that's how you get better wolves. You take two parents with good qualities.
I just can't think about the word wolf without thinking about little baby wolf.
I know, it's difficult.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about. Yeah, I mean, she shouldn't be bred with anything though. She has a lot of problems.
No, yeah.
Anyway,
so in addition to the baseline like inheritable genetic mods, and stats and stuff, you also have cyber enhancements that effectively act as equipment. So the general cycle is, you have a wolf pack, you pick which ones are your best fighters for like missions, for whatever, like missions would be the dungeon equivalent. So they would be a set area where you go through, fight a bunch of battles, and then there's a boss at the end, and maybe they drop items or whatever, but you do that to get closer and closer to the zookeeper and eventually defeat him in an epic final battle. The main fun mechanic that sets this out from other RPGs is the combo skills. So each wolf has a set of skills, and some of those key off of other skills. So picking different pack members is important, not only thinking about their stats, but you might have like a weaker wolf that has a good combo with another one of your wolves, and it might be worth taking over a stronger wolf. And it's kind of to explain the combo mechanic a little bit better. As an example, these are just random examples. You have Wolf 1 who has a trip ability. So they do trip, knocks the opponent down, and then if you hit in a certain timing window, that you can command a second wolf to do like a follow-up instantly, to like do a pin or like a throat grab or something. So like if they pin, they keep the opponent down, and then the rest of the pack can like gang up on it. Or you could do like a stronger attack and then like throat grab and then combo that into a rip and do tons of damage. And I'm not sure if I'm explaining this mechanic really clear, but for those familiar with fighting game mechanics, where you have like different combo moves, where it's like if you do a light punch followed up by a light punch followed up by a heavy punch, that does a sequence of attacks that like keeps the enemy from being able to fight back. And this is kind of the same kind of thing where, I'm not explaining this good at all. So I'm giving up on this. I'm going to move on. That's Wolfpack 19XX. Okay. Sorry for not being clear with it. I wish I could explain this better. There's going to be one listener out there who's like, yes, I actually perfectly understand this combo skill system, and this would be a fun game to play. For everyone else, they're going to be like, this sounds confusing and I would never play it. Aww. What's your pitch, Claire?
Okay, I do have a pitch. Here it is. It's definitely, so yeah, yours sounds very fleshed out. Mine is like less so, which I'm Yeah, but it's a little simpler. It's
Well,
fine.
so I'm gonna say this is another week. This would have been like the third week in a row where I took like one specific sub mechanic of a game and I was going to expand it out into a whole game, but I decided against it. Like backstab them up.
Yeah.
I was going to take another highly niche specific mechanic and be like, that's the whole game. So, but I came up with this instead.
All right. Fair enough. So mine is called Cookie Road.
Oh, I love this already.
Yeah, it's a racing game.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's Cookie Road. So the thing about this game, one of the things, pretty much my favorite racing game that I've ever played is, Mario Kart. Gotta love Mario Kart. But one of the reasons I liked it is because I started playing it on the Wii. And I like that the Wii controllers have movement. So when I started playing Mario Kart, I was a lot less versed in controller mechanics. And so other games were really a struggle because I just didn't have I don't know, I guess controller literacy. I didn't innately understand what any of the buttons would do. So it took a lot to start a game. But because we had motion sensors, you can play Mario Kart by moving the Wii, by moving the Wiimote like a steering wheel. So you don't have to, it's an option. So sometimes I play with people who'd use it more like a traditional controller, but I would always set it to using motion controls. So it was intuitive for me. So it was really fun to play that way. So Cookie Road, you can only play that way. So this is designed to be a Switch game or a VR game because you have to use physical motion to move the car.
Okay. I like it.
You'd press shoulder buttons to launch things and stuff, but
right.
But it's only physical motion to move it. You can't just sit there with your controller. Haha.
Okay.
All right. So the other thing is that so you can play against the computer or with friends, just like Mario Kart. But I wanted to make it. I guess it's pretty similar to Mario Kart in the sense, but it's cookie themed. So here's how the design works. So all the cars are cookie ingredients. So all the cars you can pick from. So it's a chocolate chip car, a bag of flour car, an icing car, egg crate car. Okay. And then each car comes with different powers. So egg crate, you could egg people, or chocolate chip, you can make the runway slick with melted chocolate, or
Oh, I was thinking more like caltrops, they would be spiky.
Oh.
And
I guess you could
tires.
do that too. Yeah, whatever. But they'd have car specific powers and upgrades, and probably also car specific weaknesses too. Maybe if there's the oven car could melt the chocolate car or something. I don't know. So you can really have a different game each time depending on who you're playing against and what they've chosen for their cars and what you've chosen for your car. Yep. And then your person in the car is a little chef hat. And there's going to be various options you can pick for that, but pretty simple, not in-depth character design, but you can pick skin tone and maybe the color of your chef hat or something like that.
A little, you've played with the make your own me feature.
Yeah, kind of like that, but even less, I think.
Even less. Oh.
Well, because the me stuff you can really get in depth of face shape, eye color, you can really you can spend hours. I remember my mom and I, when we first got a Wii, we made characters from Criminal Minds. We spent a whole afternoon just making characters from Criminal Minds. So
interesting.
So not that in depth is what I'm saying here. This is simple. All right. So then the other thing is that the roads are cookies. So the road is made of cookies, and there'll be milk ponds. And part of it is that because the roads are made of cookies, they'll crumble and stuff. So you have to be careful too. And there's deterioration happening. And depending on the track you pick, there might be more or less. And if there's if it rains and the cookie becomes soggy and so.
So
yeah.
I like this idea. I think that this is a mechanic that more racing games, the road is destroyed as you race. That makes it super interesting.
So
and I
as
love
the
that.
laps go, then the cookie crumbles. As the cookie crumbles, So anyway, that's Cookie Road. That's pretty much it. There'll be different tracks, different cookie flavors, but
incredible
idea. All right. Well, now that we've both pitched some games that we thought out, it's time for the rapid fire round where we will randomly generate 3 words and we'll have 5 minutes to create a game encompassing those 3 words. Let's hope this is better than last week.
Yeah, let's go for 1 minute rounds because I feel like this episode is hitting that hour mark.
Yeah, I just checked the time right before my pitch and I did not realize how long we've been talking, which is good.
I
Time
talked
flies.
too long trying to explain Wolfpack 19XX.
I guess. All right. Well, here we go. Are you ready to time it?
Yes.
Here are the words. They're coming. They're getting ready. They're cooking.
They're bacon.
Okay, so I didn't save my settings. Hold on.
Ah, jeez.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Gown.
Gown.
Fascinate.
Okay. Fascinate.
Prefer.
Refer.
No, prefer.
Prefer. All right. I mean, you're getting the same vibes as I am immediately, right?
Bridgerton?
Oh. No. Okay. No.
What were you getting?
I was thinking that you just sell wedding gowns to brides to be.
I was thinking that you would have to like pick an outfit that would make you like the preference of the town, like I need to snag a husband. What will I do to fascinate him in my outfit?
Okay,
what is the latest
I like
fashion?
This is good. This is good. So you get like a newspaper report every morning that tells you what's in and what's out, and you have to make your outfit based on that.
Yeah, and then maybe there's like bonuses if you can like guess like the next trend, like if you're somehow up and coming, like.
Well, yeah, part of it would have to be because like you would either have to pre-stock items or like as soon as you get the news of what's in and out, like you have to run to the store before anybody sees you and buy stuff. But if you can just stroll out of your house without going to the store, you get bonus points.
And I guess so there would have to be like a money component to this too, because you have to like buy your supplies to make yourself fancy.
Well, of course there would be. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the money component is how do you earn money as a Bridgerton?
Oh, you don't. You have money. You're born into it.
So I guess I don't think that really there is a money component. I think that it's literally about the score of how easily and readily you can hit the fashion, because like if during that dash your rival dash to the store, your rival sees you lose points rather than have to pay. It doesn't matter that you have to buy it. It matters that you have to be seen buying it.
Yeah. So like if you haven't like stocked up enough to put together the right outfit.
Yeah. So you do.
Actually, I feel like that happens in Bridgerton. I feel like there's like a whole thing about like, ooh, look at their outfit. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So what are we going to call it?
I want to do like a Pride and Prejudice pun without being directly Pride and Prejudice, because it is really about your own pride and the prejudice of your other people. So it's like that name works out of the box, but I feel like we can't use it out of the box.
Oh no, we cannot, because that's not really what Pride and Prejudice the book is about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was also thinking that it's just the words happen to fit.
Stride and dressed up.
Okay.
All dressed up everywhere to go.
You know what? With 1minute and 45 seconds left, I'm going to say all dressed up and everywhere to go is it.
Wonderful.
Boom.
Okay, great. Are you ready for our next 3 words?
I am ready. Yes.
Pottery exception bracket.
Pottery exception bracket? I mean, bracket makes me think of tournaments.
Yeah, so pottery tournament.
Pottery tournament. So the exception is that you have to make an exceptional pot?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exceptional pottery.
Okay, so this is a VR game where you actually use your hands to sculpt.
Love it. Good.
On the little, you like both.
And
it has
hard.
The spinny part.
It's like a hard mechanic. Like that part makes it hard.
Yes.
The spinny part's the wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've
Yeah.
got the wheel, and then in addition to like smoothing out the shape, you also have to add the details with your fingers
And then I
and
think because
smoosh them
it's
out.
VR, maybe the bracket is like live voted on, like real people.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, this is like a party game with friends where,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it narrows down the pot. So yeah, so like you make your thing, and then everyone's thing is entered into the bracket, and then the second like phase of the game is just voting on whose thing wins through the bracket.
So I'm gonna name this Killing It.
I love that, and we're never gonna do better. So moving to the next.
All right.
3
Well,
words.
3 minutes and 45 seconds left means that we did that in 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Amazing.
We're killing it.
We're killing it. We're killing it. All right. These are our last 3 words for today.
All right.
Oh boy. All right. Identity.
Okay. Identity.
Course.
Course as in like rough, or course
no,
as in class?
Class. I guess like class. I was thinking more like a racing course too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep. And then king.
What was the first word?
Identity.
Identity, course, king.
Yeah.
Everybody has forgotten who the king is, so they make all the people who are claiming to be the king race, because all they remember is that the king was really good at racing.
Okay, so I like this, but how is it a game? Like, this sounds like a TV show. Like, what's the mechanic? How do you play this?
The mechanic is it's a racing game.
Okay, but like, so whoever wins is the king? Is that?
Yeah.
Is it a foot race? Please tell me yes.
Yes.
I've never played a racing game that's a foot race. I think that's
absolutely
really funny.
A foot race. Well, maybe it's a triathlon sort of thing where like it's a foot race. There's a horse segment where you have to get on a horse. There's a surfing segment where you have to surf on a board that is shaped like a horse. I'm just getting silly with it,
I think we should get silly with it. I think this is a silly game. I think it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna call it stares into the middle distance.
Yep.
I was trying to do something with like my kingdom for a horse, like my horse for a kingdom.
Well,
yeah,
I want to play up the identity thing. I mean, this doesn't fit. No, I was gonna say the Emperor's new race, but like that doesn't make any sense.
What's the Emperor? Well, because the clothes, that's what the Emperor's New Groove is based on.
Well, the Emperor's New Clothes, yes, is about a guy who gets invisible clothes, but no one calls him out on it. Okay, but I mean, the Race of Kings.
Well, that just sounds like a Game of Thrones situation. I don't think we need to somehow capture the humor in this.
Yeah. Or, I mean, we could call it a Race of Thrones. And then, like, just swap game for race.
You're right that the identity part, like, is there a way we can say amnesia, but with royalty, like monarchnesia? The king and I, it could be like the king am I?
Okay. The king am I? Question
mark?
The king am I?
And then in parentheses, a racing game.
Yeah. Okay. A king am I? Question mark. In parentheses, a racing game. Boom. Perfect. With 2 minutes left.
Amazing. All right.
We nailed it.
Thank you all for coming along this journey with us. Always a great time. You can find us on Twitter at Make That Game Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Make That Game Pod. And you can always email us at makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com to send us game ideas, games we should play in Honk and Bonk, a title of a game you want us to create a game for, 3 words you want us to use in this absolutely wonderful rapid fire, or anything that you think of that we missed in our Honk and Bonks, or etc. So please do interact. We love it. And if you heard a game today that you think you want to make, we encourage you to go right ahead and
make that game.